This is pathetic. One of the worst missed weight classes I've ever seen in my life. So here's to hoping Paula loses badly. Coach Greg and Paulo Costa makes weight at 205. He was supposed to weigh in at 185, but decided, it's not important, the diet. I'm just going to show up and weigh whatever I want. And while I'm at it, I'm going to act like an asshole and act like it's not my fault. I'm going to blame everything on other people and not own up to the mistakes that I've made. I've lost all respect for Paulo Costa. The amount of effort, discipline, dedication that it takes to make weight, and you show up 30 pounds overweight a week out from the competition. You are a multi-million-dollar athlete, and you can't even try to make weight. 30 pounds overweight. Meanwhile, Marvin, his opponent, he does the diet and shows up ready to make weight. So Paulo Costa is acting like a pussy. And what kind of pussy? Girl naked. Girl naked been eating a lot, getting a little bit of pudge, fattening up. Rather than saying, hey, I just can't do it anymore. I can't make weight. I got to call it off. He shows up a week out, and the UFC's like, you can't make weight. You're 30 pounds over. What do you think this is? And so they say, maybe we can do a catch weight. And so they asked Marvin, would you be willing to fight at a higher weight than 185? Because Paulo, he can't make the weight class. And so Marvin, being a true warrior, says, of course, I'm fighting no matter what. I don't care what he weighs in at. I'm going to kick his ass. I'm going to beat him. Meanwhile, Paulo has a huge advantage. Huge. Think of it. He had to diet and cut weight just to make 205. The original weight class, 185. And Paulo in an interview says, it's not me that's trying to be 185. They told me to do this. They said it's a catch weight fight. No, they're saying it's a catch weight fight because you aren't man enough to diet down to your proper weight. And then you try to convince Marvin that he shouldn't deserve part of your purse for not making weight? Are you kidding me? And so you're thinking, oh, these are multimillionaire fighters. They have the best dietitians in the world, best trainers, and so on. Do they have Coach Greg? Does he have my friggin' cookbook? You're laughing, joking, thinking, oh, Coach Greg, he thinks he knows so much. I do know so much. How many times have I made weight? A lot more than Paulo Costa. How many times have I missed a weight class in my entire life? Zero. And I've done it over 100 times. 100 times, never missed weight. Never, ever in my life. Why? Because I know what I'm doing. And if you do whatever you want in the off-season, gain too much weight, bulk up, you have to be able to make the weight class. And if you don't, that's on you. Your fault. Not your nutritionist, not your coach, you. You decided it didn't matter enough. Not a big deal. I'm just going to show up, whatever. I'm Paulo Costa. I'm famous. Everybody loves me. I'm going to show up and weigh whatever I want, and they'll probably adjust the weight classes accordingly. And so in an interview, they asked him literally, can you make 190? 185? What weight do you want to fight at?
195, 205, or
195. Can you make 195? Can you make 195?
So they settled on 195. Seemed reasonable. He was around 96 kilograms, 211. Let's cut down to 195. Nope, that's too hard for me.
When you make a cat weight, it's not exist this to be fine.
So they change it. Maybe he can make 90 kilograms, 198 pounds. Too hard. 200? No, let's go with 205. 20 pounds over. And y'all are, UFC fighters. They can drop 40 pounds in a week to make the weight class. Paulo Costa showed up 30 pounds over the weight and couldn't make it. 30 pounds. They said, can you do 195? Okay, couldn't make it. It wasn't 30, 40 pounds. He couldn't make 195 from 211. 16 pounds. So he cut weight, dehydrated himself, so on, made 205. 205. Imagine if Chris Bumstead showed up to the Olympia 30 pounds overweight a week out from the Olympia, and they liked him so much they said, oh, I know, let's just add 10 pounds to the classic physique weight class. What do you guys all think? I suppose. Is Chris Bumstead going to give 30% of his prize? Yeah, Chris, if you don't make the weight class, you just give 30% of your prize to the other competitors. That is exactly what this is like. Imagine the advantage of showing up heavier than the weight limit. Imagine showing up to the World Championships of Powerlifting and saying, oh, I can't make 185. Oh, that's okay. We'll let you weigh in at 205 and compete against the other guys at 205 instead of 185. Does that sound fair? That is quite literally what's happening here. And Paulo acts like it's not a big deal. If you're a man, you'll fight me and you won't worry about the purse that you have to give up. You won't worry about me having to give 20, 30%. And so at the weigh-in, he says, you're a cookbook pussy. And why does he say that? Because he is. He is. Think of it. He's 20 pounds over the weight class. Just strolls in without dieting as a main event, 20 pounds over his actual weight limit. And he started 30 pounds over. Does that sound like a dedicated athlete that you should respect?
And then now he comes on and he says that he, 185, he can't make it. So we're up to 205, It was very disrespectful from his side not to, to come in 30 pounds heavier.
So think of it. Martin's literally in a sauna trying to make weight the way he's supposed to. And they're telling him, Paulie can't make weight. Will you fight at 195? Okay. Then they say, can't do it, 198. And now it's 205. This is ridiculous. So I hope Martin wins this. I'm praying Martin wins this, but he is at a huge disadvantage. It's quite literally fighting an entire weight class up. And so you're wondering, why can't you lose weight? Paulo Costa has the best trainers, dietitians in the world, shows up 30 pounds overweight. Does that not show you just how difficult it is to lose weight and keep it off? He's lost weight plenty of times before, then gains it back, loses the weight, gains it back. Not sustainable. What do you need? You need a diet that's sustainable. One that keeps you satiated full, that you can maintain for the rest of your life. You ever heard of my cookbook? You think it's bullshit? You think it's BS that it doesn't actually work in the real world, that it's not calories in, calories out? You need the diet that allows you to be satisfied and full and satisfy your cravings. That is why the diet works. That's why you need the freaking cookbook. If Paulo Costa had my cookbook, if I were his coach, he'd be making that weight class, I promise you. You think just because I'm Coach Greg and I scream and shout that I don't know how to make weight, that I don't have an actual diet that works? How's his diet work? How is his diet working? He has the best coaches, trainers in the world. Arguably, I don't remember coaching him. I don't remember meeting any recipes from my cookbook. And you can type away all you like that it wouldn't work. Did his diet work? Could it be any worse? 20 pounds. He weighed in 20 pounds over his weight limit. He clearly doesn't have a diet that he can follow, that's sustainable, that makes sense. And for all of the money in the world, he couldn't make that weight class. You think Paulo Costa chooses to show up 20 pounds over the weight class? No. If it was easy, he would have done it. But he couldn't do it. But to make it worse, he made it look like it's Marvin's fault, as if it's not him to blame. He should have said, I blew it, I screwed up, I didn't do it. At least own up to your mistakes. Be a friggin' man. Not, oh, it's not my fault, the UFC offered me this catchweight fight. The contract said to fight at 185 that you couldn't make it, and they offered to make changes to help you. Rather than saying Marvin should do that or do this, you should be saying, thank you, Marvin, thank you, UFC, thanks for bailing me out of this friggin' mess that I did to myself.
I don't care for weight, I don't care for who are you I need to face on Saturday.
So 3 days before the fight, Paulo Costa's weighing in over 210 pounds and saying, oh, I don't care who I fight. I don't care what weight it's at, but I'm here to fight. Yeah. Except for you do care what weight it is because you can't make the weight you were supposed to make, 185.
How is that even possible that, we're supposed to fight at 185 and he comes in a week out, you come in a week out over 215 pounds.
So he says to Marvin, I hope you're ready. I hope you're ready to fight me on Saturday. And Marvin interjects and is like, well, how are we going to do that? The weight limit's 185 and you can't make it. Like, how are we fighting?
When I came to fight, I came heavy. I always came heavy to fight. You have a problem with that?
And so Paula says, well, I came in to fight, but I came in above my weight class and I'm too heavy to make the weight class. Do you have a problem with that? And it's like, well, it's not that I have a problem with it. It's that you're supposed to fight me at 185 and you didn't, so it's not fair. And it's like, Paula's trying to say, if you're a tough guy, if you're a man, you won't care about the fact that I technically cheated, that I showed up over the weight limit. I mean, think of the advantage. It might not be considered cheating, but I consider it cheating. If you're supposed to diet and suffer for 2 months and you don't, you show up with a huge advantage, how's that not cheating? It would be like Paula showing up on PDs and saying, well, I don't care if I'm on PDs. You should fight me anyway, because it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It does matter.
I always make my weight 185, and I have no problem with that.
Paula's like, I always make my weight. Not this time. You didn't this time. I always. Until you don't. You can say you always do something until up to the point where you don't do that. So I used to always make my weight class, and now I didn't. So what do you want? You want special favor, special treatment? Of course he does.
I never cared too, but this is part of our job. I've been cutting weight. I've been in a diet for the last 2 months and a half.
And Marvin's point is, I've been dieting, suffering for months. Why didn't you tell me 2 months ago that you couldn't make the weight class and you didn't want to do it? You let me show up after I spent 2 months of dieting for nothing? Think of it. He dieted for 2 months and now he doesn't have to make 185 anymore. It's 205. And Paula thinks it's Marvin that's overreacting here.
What is the issue, and when did you decide that you weren't going to make 185?
Yesterday, the UFC offered to make the cat weight.
And so the interviewer and Marvin quite literally are saying, what happened? Why didn't you make weight?
They thought I was a little bit heavy than normal.
And rather than saying anything, giving any reason, I couldn't stick to the diet. I was suffering too much. I just couldn't do it. I had depression. I mentally couldn't take it anymore. Say something. He says, well, the UFC offered me to fight at a higher weight. Yeah, after you showed up 30 pounds overweight. This is not something that was offered months ago. The contract quite literally says to fight at 185. He screwed up bad, and doesn't want to own up to it.
Every fighter here is supposed to make weight. We have a moment. It's called weighing. Maybe you know about it.
Which weight you supposed to be on Friday? You make on Friday 185, one. I don't care for you weigh 185, 195.
It's like, dude, the weight class was 185. Of course you don't care what weight class I'm in, because the more I weigh, the better. Because Paul's like, well, I can't make 185, so let's hope he says 205. But it was agreed on 195, couldn't make that even, went all the way to 205. This is pathetic. One of the worst missed weight classes I've ever seen in my life. So here's to hoping Paula loses badly, ending it here. GregDoucette.com for coaching, Greg Doucette IB Pro. Watch the bloops, harder than last time supplements. Get the freaking cookbook. If Paul had it, he'd be making the weight class. Training plans or coaching plans by me and my team, we would have had Paul in the weight class. Maybe tell Paul, hire Coach Greg. I don't want to coach him. Don't tell him to do that. Subscribe, click the bell button. Let me know your thoughts on Paul in the comment section. And until next time, I am out.